Injured in Iraq, hovered near death. He's just one of the almost 2,500 Americans who've been wounded in action so far. Recently, our Ann Curry went to Western Pennsylvania for an emotional visit.
Sergeant Jeremy Feldbusch, a true hero.
Have you ever regretted going to the Army?
Not at all. If I would have died while I was in service, I regret no second of what I did while I was in the military.
24-year-old Army Ranger Jeremy Feldbusch is home from the war and beginning the lessons that define his new life.
Everything's black.
Can you see anything?
No, I can't see anything at all.
It's all black?
Everything's black.
Everything went black for Jeremy a year ago as a 75th Army Ranger Regiment took control of a key dam near Baghdad. While special operations troops moved explosives inside, Jeremy, head mortarman, protected the dam outside as Iraqis pounded his position.
The piece of shrapnel from the artillery round, one piece of shrapnel, it came in here, right here, in my eye. You can see that scar there. I like to say it played pinball inside my head, and I suffered brain damage.
From Ramstein Air Base, Germany.
5 days later, he landed in Texas, alive, barely, and went to Brooke Army Medical Center where he lay in a coma for 5 weeks.
It was the not knowing that you were more scared of.
Not knowing if he would live or die, but miraculously a month later, he would give a thumbs up when his commanding officers paid a visit.
This is to certify that the President of the United States of America has awarded the Purple Heart.
To present the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. Still, Jeremy didn't know he was permanently blind.
And they didn't tell me for the first 2 weeks. I didn't know what was really wrong with me. At first, I heard my parents talking, and I thought to myself, why am I hearing my parents talk? I'm in the middle of Iraq. I said, I must be dreaming.
But he wasn't, and he was angry.
I was ticked. I didn't want to be blind.
There'd be times he'd literally throw us out of his room.
Though he weighed only 165 pounds, the former state wrestling champion who graduated first in his Ranger class was able to wave at his homecoming parade in Blairsville, Pennsylvania, and his anger had begun to slip away.
What has made you change your view from one extreme that I can deal with this?
From when I was in the hospital and I was extremely angry.
Why?
My mom and my dad, my whole family. What you learn in your family growing up is what has made it easy for me to transfer from being very angry to being fine with it now.
Step up right here, right now.
Father Brace, a coal miner until the mine was closed in '91, and Mother Charlene, a bookkeeper until she quit to take care of Jeremy.
Which shirt do you want today? Either your black one or your red one?
Shawn Michael.
Older brother Sean.
Give me your hand.
I can do circles.
Shoulder.
And younger brother Brian.
You can step away.
All united to help Jeremy adapt to his new life. He is making progress, starting to learn Braille, but still at times he asks, why my eyes?
He asked his dad one day, he said, Dad, why did God take my eyes? And his dad told him, Jeremy, God maybe thought you saw enough killing.
Are you angry that what you were on a mission to protect America against, weapons of mass destruction, may never have existed at the time you parachuted into Iraq?
We have gotten rid of Saddam Hussein in the Middle East. We've taken him out of central control of the Middle East, and we're trying to place a democracy in the center of the Middle East.
Was all of that worth the price you have paid?
Yes.
The price you will pay for the rest of your life?
If I would have died while I was over there, that would have been worth everything that I've done.
Josh.
Reach out, Jeremy.
That commitment and caring brought him back recently to the hospital where his life was saved.
You look wonderful.
To say thank you and to cheer up the troops, many waiting for reconstructive surgery. Still on anti-seizure medication, he calls himself Titanium Man because of all the metal in his head.
I signed the papers. I knew it could happen to me.
What was the thing that made you think, I want to be in the U.S. military?
I wanted to get out and see the world. I wanted to go to new places and see new things.
Now the former Army Ranger has to rethink his dreams and a career in the armed forces.
I cannot stay in the military. I don't think they have many blind patrol leaders running around out there. If they did, I'd be one of them. But I think I'd hit too many trees.
The sun's shining right in your eye.
Is it?
Right where you're looking was right where the airplane went down.
So it was with a tinge of sadness that Jeremy Feldbusch, who joined the Army a month before September 11th, put on his uniform one more time to pay his respects to those who died when hijacked Flight 93 was brought down near his home in western Pennsylvania.
Here, fill the memorial. You fill it?
Yeah.
All the names are on there.
One soldier who gave so much now stands ready to give so much more. For today, Ann Curry, NBC News, Blairsville, Pennsylvania.
And we are thrilled and honored to welcome Jeremy Feldbusch to Today. Jeremy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you.
Wow, a year ago today, you were in a medical coma, and nobody knew if you would survive. It's been a long 12 months, hasn't it?
It has been a very long 12 months. Long 12 months of learning new things and starting a new life.
What's been the hardest part for you, Jeremy?
The hardest part that I would say has been, well, recently I started learning Braille more fluently and training with a cane. I can't say that that much has been extremely hard for me. It's just, as I've said before, I was dealt a new hand of cards to play.
And you're going to play them?
I'm going to play them. I have to play them.
We told you we have a little surprise for you, something we want to do, and I think we want to introduce you to someone I think you'll be happy to meet, because you may have heard that 60 years ago, another young soldier parachuted into another war. He too was wounded and blinded. The war was World War II, and the soldier is 79-year-old Tom Broderick, and he is sitting right to your right, and he would like to say something to you.
Jeremy, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the blind world.
I know, Tom, there's a lot you two have in common. You want to share some of that with Jeremy?
Well, sure, I think right now Jeremy and I would rather be jumping out of an airplane than doing this, but as I would like to say to you, Jeremy, as Matt said, it's almost 60 years for me now.
Right.
I had a bullet go through the head in combat, and I have a notion of what you're going through at this moment and these last few months. The way it happened with me, I tried 3 or 4 or 5 jobs, and I'll say unsuccessfully because I didn't stay with them, until I finally heard of one career insurance, which I entered and stayed, and has been a good life for me.
I just want to add here something and jump in. It's been a great life for you. You started and ran a very successful company. You also married and had 7 children, Tom?
Yes, Matt.
13 grandchildren. And I know your family, like Jeremy's family, has been incredibly supportive. And if I can say this, and I hope it doesn't come out the wrong way, Jeremy, Tom, I'm sure a guy like Jeremy at his age has got some fears and concerns about social life. And what advice, what would you tell Jeremy?
Well, you have to have social life, number 1.
Right.
Number 2, when I was dating about 100 years ago, an idea I had was to take my first date dancing, because at that time dancing was romance, not exercise. And after a few slow dances and a little jitterbug, you did get the notion of how her figure was, et cetera, et cetera. So from there you proceed. I met Eileen on a blind date. I have to say, no pun accepted, but it was correct. We were introduced by a friend, mutual friend, of course. And that was in 1950, 6 years after I was blind. And 7 years later, we were married, and as Matt said, we have 7 children and 13 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild, too.
Jeremy, I know this is a little sudden, but do you have questions for a guy like Tom, who has been through this now for 60 years?
It's hard to say. I could throw out several questions right now, but
is it nice to know there are people who, so to speak, walked in your boots?
Yes, it is. It is nice to know that.
Well, I'd like you to know, Jeremy, that I'd like to be your friend, and afterwards to keep in touch with any help and advice I could give.
I'd love to keep in touch as well.
Well, that's great. That would be great.
There'll be good times and bad times, I guess, Tom. Wouldn't that be safe to say?
Yeah, it's a bumpy road up and down, but in the end, I've had more good than bad. But you got to have the bad to get the good.
Well, I think it's bumpy roads up and down, whether you can see or not.
Right.
That's the way it is for everyone
That's right,
throughout
with
life.
anything, yeah.
Well, I hope you two do stay in touch. And Tom, we appreciate you coming in. It's a pleasure and an honor to meet you as well. And Jeremy, you've taken the breath away from a lot of people in this studio today. And we're awfully proud to have you here.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We should mention that Jeremy will be honored tonight at the Disabled Veterans Life Memorial Foundation Gala. That's right here in New York City. And you can find more information on that right on our website at today.msnbc.com. And we're back after these messages.